You are a complete beginner of Linux and want to install Linux, or you are searching for an introduction to Ubuntu, then this video is the right one for you. Keep on. Welcome all. Today I'm gonna show you how to install your Ubuntu next to an Windows 10, and after that I will show you how to use Ubuntu and what you should know about Ubuntu when you're using it. So if you just have installed Ubuntu, just look to the timeline and skip to the important parts for you. For now, I'm gonna start with the installation. For the installation, you need an USB stick, online connection, some disk space, and a bit time. So let's start. At first, let us open our web browser and download Ubuntu and the tool with which we create our bootable USB stick. I go to ubuntu.com. You can find all links in the video description. Then head over to download, and I recommend you to download the LTS version of Ubuntu. At the moment of video creation it is 20.04 LTS, but when it will be 22.04 then yeah, nothing big changes, so you could do this tutorial some years later too. Just select our LTS version here, and after some time our window opens and asks us to download. I select save file and click OK. Perfect. And then head over to another website. It is called etcher.io. And we select download for Windows and select save file. Perfect. Both downloads are running now. While downloading, we could shrink our disk space from Windows 10, that we have some space for our new Ubuntu installation. I search for partitioning, create and format hard disk partitions. I open that up. I right click the C partition and select shrink volume. And I recommend you to halve your partition. So in case you have 1 terabyte of disk space, then assign for Ubuntu maybe 500 gigs. The minimum for a realistic use is, in my opinion, about 40 or 50 gigs. In my case, this is a test environment, so I select 25 gigs, but that one is just for testing. Then I select shrink, and that could take some time. In my case, it's finished some seconds later, but yeah, in case you have a hard drive, then this could take a bit longer. So just close our partitioning and wait for the downloads when they finished. In my case, the downloads are already finished, so I head over to our file explorer and select downloads. Here we see our Balena Etcher setup. I double click it, select I agree, and Balena Etcher is installing. So perfect, Balena Etcher is completely installed, and we select flash from file, select our downloads folder here, and select our downloaded Ubuntu 20.04 disk image file. Then we have to select our target. For that, we want to select our USB stick. Please make sure that every data which is on the USB stick after this process is lost, so there shouldn't be any important files on it. I select this one and select flash. Now we get a question which we should answer with yes, and great, our USB stick is flashing. So after that we become the message, okay, everything gone right, and we are ready to install our Ubuntu. But for that we have to know how to start from our USB stick. If you have a desktop computer, you should restart your computer and press one of the keys, maybe F1, F2, F8, F11 and F12. Some of these keys If you have a laptop, I recommend you to Google that. So maybe search for Lenovo Yoga C740 boot from USB. For example, if we search that, then you find here some forum threads, or just search for videos, then there are many videos which show you how to boot from USB on your specific laptop. So if you know that, let's just boot from our USB stick we created and see you there. If you see this one, you're correct, and Ubuntu is starting now from our USB stick. That takes a moment. So here we have our installation window. Select your language. In my case, it's English, and I select Install Ubuntu. Here you can select your keyboard layout. In my case, I have a German one, so I select German here and select Continue. And here we can decide whether we want a normal installation or a minimal installation. A normal installation contains all apps you need, I would say, or the most of the apps you need, with LibreOffice, some games and other utilities, which are great. Or do you want a very clean Ubuntu with just some utilities and Firefox? In my case, I select normal installation, and I recommend that to you too. Also, I activate the last option here, install third-party software for graphics and Wi-Fi hardware and additional media formats. I select Continue. Now we can select Install Ubuntu alongside Windows 10. If you see this option and select this one, then no data will be lost. So this step is quite safe. And for every beginner, I recommend to install Ubuntu alongside Windows 10 and not to erase Windows 10 and install Ubuntu to that, because if you maybe have some issues on Ubuntu, then a backup system is quite helpful. So I select Install Ubuntu alongside Windows 10, select Install Now, select Continue, and Ubuntu is starting installing now. Here we can select our time zone. In my case, it's Berlin, so that's okay. And here we can configure our user. My name is Jean, so I call me Jean in here. Here you could define a name for your computer if you want. If not, the default is just fine for you. Here we can define a password. And here we could decide if we want to log in automatically, so there's no password needed on login, but in my case, I want a password as login, so I just keep that selected to require my password to login and select Continue. So now Ubuntu is installing. Just get a cup of tea and wait until the installation is finished. So perfect, the installation of Ubuntu is now complete. Just select Restart Now. A few seconds later we get the message to remove the installation medium, so called our USB boot stick. Then just plug out your USB stick and press enter. And perfect, we are rebooting. Here we could select Ubuntu or Windows 10. With our arrow keys, I select Ubuntu and press enter. Otherwise, Ubuntu is started automatically. Here we are at our login screen. I select enter and type in my password. Select enter. Perfect. Here is our complete new Ubuntu. At first, let's check this dialog here. In here, you could connect your computer with some online accounts if you want. In my case, I skip this. We can do this later too. And we don't need any live patch, so click next. And here you could choose if you want to send some system stats to the developers of Ubuntu. In my case, that's okay for me. If you don't want this, then select no. And here we could activate some location services. You could do this if you want. And in the end, yeah, we could select some applications for install, but we will do this later too. So in the end, click done, and here we have our software updater. Updated software has been issued since Ubuntu 24 was released. Do you want to install it now? I select install it now, and that takes a moment. While the software is updating, let me show you what's the desktop like. Yeah, I think if you just used Windows until now, you see some differences. In the left side, we have our application bar with some favorites and all open windows here. If we open some more windows, on the left bottom side, on the left bottom corner, we have our application menu. If I select this, we see all applications which are installed right now on Ubuntu. If you want, you could group some icons. For example, we could group fonts to characters, and yeah, a new folder is created, and we could arrange our menu complete new here if we want. But personally, I don't use this menu too often, because if I close this menu here, I could press the Super or Windows key or select in the top left corner activities to get an overview of all opened windows and a search bar. So I just type in, for example, LibreOffice, and I get all LibreOffice apps, or settings, and we get all settings, and so on. That is very, very handy, and I use this all the time. But yeah, for browsing in, this application tab makes a lot of sense. If we press escape twice, then we are back at our normal view, and here on the top side there's our notification center and calendar, and on the right side here we have a volume bar, network information, settings, and utilities to lock or power off our computer. In the while our software updater is finished, we could restart our computer now, but just let's do this in a second. So I select restart later, and I open up our search bar here by pressing the Windows key and type in driver, additional driver. I open up that piece of software, and here we have all optional drivers we could install here and apply here. If there's nothing, then everything is fine. That's optional. But maybe if you use an NVIDIA card, then it is highly recommended to use the NVIDIA driver, because it is working a lot better than the Nouveau driver. In my case, I don't have to install additional drivers here. So in the end, I select close that one, and we are gonna restart our computer. So I select here our menu on the right top corner, select power off, and here I select restart. See you soon. So perfect. At first I want to show you the settings. We just open up our search bar with our Windows key and search for settings. Here we open up that guy, and here we could configure some VPN, for example, our Bluetooth settings, our background settings if we want. We could add some pictures too, of course. We could change our appearance a bit. So if we want a light theme, standard theme, or dark theme, and some settings to the dock here, settings to notifications, and so on. I don't wanna show you all of these settings because there are very many. I just want to configure our printer. So I select in this list printers, and let's select add. And here it is searching for printers in your local network. Hopefully we are gonna find one, and here it is. In my case, it's an Office Chat 3830. I select this one, select add, and after some seconds we will hopefully, get this printer in our list. Perfect, our printer is configured now. Let's get to the point how we could install some applications. You could install almost every application in our Ubuntu software manager here. It is already at the dock. I just click on it. It takes a moment. After about 1 minute, here's our software manager, and we have many categories you could browse to, or you can search for some applications. Just select this search icon here and, for example, type in Spotify, and we're gonna find some Spotify. For that, I recommend you this Spotify here. Perfect. In my case, I want to install the app Contacts, because if we install this contact app here, then if we added an online account with contact support, that contact app integrates your online account perfectly. That's great. So in this case, I select install, then our authentication is required. I type in my password and it is installing. That's very easy, isn't it? So some applications do require some other method, like for example our Google Chrome browser. If you want to install Google Chrome, just let me show you how to do this. Just select Firefox here, because we are gonna download some file. I type in google.com/Chrome. Here we see the browser built by Google. Perfect. Download Chrome. We select this one here. Select 64bit.deb for Debian Ubuntu. That's perfect. And I say accept and install. In this case, I select save file because software install doesn't support this very well. So just select save file and we select OK. Our deb package is downloaded. So I select this folder here. And here we are at our downloads folder. I double click that guy here. After some time, we could press install here. Just type in our password and it is installing. Perfect. Please be sure that this way of installing applications isn't the normal one. At first, you should try every time before by searching the application in the software manager. So in my case, Google Chrome is now installed. Perfect. So let's come to an essential part of our operating system, the file manager. We could open up by selecting this icon here or double clicking this icon at our desktop. And here we are at our file manager. This in here is our home folder. We could do whatever we want in this folder. Theoretically, we could arrange some folders, we could delete some ones, and yeah, that's our region. But it is highly recommended to use this structure here. And here on the left side we have also our documents folder, downloads folder, and so on. Here we have our trash. In my case, I don't need anymore our Google Chrome deb file here, so I just select this one and press the delete button and head over to the trash. Here our file is, and at this corner I could empty the trash. I will do this. Now our trash is empty, and on the left side here we have our locations side. Here we can select some other partitions on this PC. For example, here our 38 gigs volume from Windows 10. The cool thing is Ubuntu can read the Windows 10 partition, but the other way, Windows 10 can't read to the Ubuntu partition in the standard. So if we want to access our personal data on our Windows 10 partition, just select users and then your username. And here there's complete personal data. In my opinion, this folder structure is quite confusing here. Okay, perfect. If we go back to our home folder here, we could switch to another view or just select some options here. For example, bigger icons. In my case, 50% are all right. And here we could select some sorting options. Also, if we want, we could show hidden files here. If we select this one, we will see some more folders, but we don't need these folders usually, so I just deselect this one. You could also choose a new window or just create a new tab, then we have 2 tabs in here, and yeah, and be on different folders here. But that is okay for now, and I hope you got basic knowledge about the file manager on Ubuntu. Let's get to another program I want to recommend you, and that is Thunderbird. I personally use Thunderbird daily for all my emails. It's a great program. I just open it up, and here we could configure our email address and be very productive at the end. It is a great email tool. I like it very, very much, and yeah. I would say it's some of the best tools for email messaging at the Linux side, but there are some alternatives in the software center like Mailspring, Evolution, Kmail, and other programs. So yeah, you have some alternatives there, but I highly recommend Thunderbird to you. But yeah, if we want to write an email, how do we write our @ symbol? Many Windows users asked me that before, because on Windows you can obviously use Ctrl-Alt-Q for writing an @ symbol, but on Linux that doesn't work. For that you need the right Alt key and then Q. This is it. Yeah. Some of you will laugh, but yeah, many users asked me that. So perfect. Then we handled this one out, and let's come to a part. Yeah, I maybe don't want to show you that as beginners, but yeah, Ubuntu forces us to do that, because we can't find this one in the Ubuntu Software Center, and for that I mean the Ubuntu-restricted-extras. This is a package with some Microsoft fonts and other proprietary software, which makes your life as Linux beginners sometimes easier. And yeah, let's just install this one. But for that we have to open up a terminal. Don't be afraid, it is just a single line of code, and usually you don't have to use that. But yeah, for this special package we have to use that. So I just search for our terminal here and open it up. And the only line I have to write is sudo apt install ubuntu -restricted-extras. You could copy out this one out of the video description and just select right click paste, and then that is completely fine. In the end, just press enter. Then we have to type in our normal password. There are displayed no signs, don't be confused, and just select in the end enter. And here it asks if we want to install these new packages, blah, blah, blah. Okay, yes, I just press enter and it is installing. Here we have to select the right arrow key, then enter, then the left arrow key, enter. Perfect. Everything is fine and it is installed in a second. With this package we also got some Microsoft fonts, which some guys are missing who are coming from the Windows world. And yeah, perfect. We could close our terminal and hopefully we don't have to use it too often. But yeah, don't be afraid. The terminal is, in my opinion, quite easier as the GUI. So let's come to Microsoft Word. First of all, Microsoft Word doesn't run, or Microsoft Office doesn't run at Linux. Yeah, for some guys of you that's bad. But we have some alternatives and I am sure you will find your alternative. I will show you some of them, and the alternative I use and I ever used, and I'm very happy to use that, is LibreOffice. I just open up our LibreOffice writer in here. Here we have some tips of the day. I don't want these, so I just deselect this one here, select OK. perfect, and select the X here. And yeah, there it is, our LibreOffice writer. And yeah, I could understand you if you see this quite confusing, but we could change this view of all these symbols to a maybe familiar one for you. I just select View here, User Interface, and I select Tabbed. And tada, here we have a similar tab system like Microsoft Word has this. This is, in my opinion, a great feature of LibreOffice and makes it a lot easier to use for some switching users from Windows. But LibreOffice has some problems with docx files. It works theoretically, but in reality there are some mistakes between the conversion, and yeah, that doesn't work quite fine. So just let me show you some alternatives. They work with the docx format quite good. And for that I open up our web browser. At first we have WPS Office for PC. You see that it is quite modern and quite easy to use and supports the docx file quite good. I personally didn't use that at any time because, yeah, I don't like it so much, but it is an alternative I wanted to show you. Also, a good alternative in my opinion is SoftMaker Office. And here we have it. You see it is very similar to Microsoft Word and does work with the docx format quite good. Some users I know are using it all the time, so that could be an alternative for you too. Also, I want to show you some other alternatives, but for that I'm gonna open up Google Chrome here, because in my opinion Google Chrome is a bit better with these ones, because yeah, we have some web editors in here too. So at first I want to show you Google Docs. I used it some time before and yeah, I was quite happy with that. And yeah, it supports almost everything you need. You have also Sheets, Slides, which is great. And yeah, Forms is a great tool too, but yeah, it doesn't compare to the other tools. But it's a great tool. And also there is a Microsoft alternative. It is called Microsoft Office Online, and yeah, it's Microsoft Office in the web browser, and yeah, it doesn't have as much functions as the normal Microsoft Office you know from Windows 10, but yeah, for an online editor this is quite good too. Yeah, maybe there's one alternative you will try. I personally recommend LibreOffice. It is a great tool, and if you don't need to handle with docx files, that's great. Okay, so that was it for today. If this video helped you out, please leave a like and subscribe to this channel, and see you in the next video. Bye!